Today I'm going to walk you through how to pattern make a slash pocket for the side of your pants. You'll do this when your pattern is finished. So if you have a pleat in the front and not a dart, you'll do that. But for the purposes of today, I'm just going to show you how to do it out of the block. So the first thing you need to do is, and I like to do this at full scale, is determine how you want the angle of the pocket to be. So I usually find I just kind of play around with my ruler until I find something that looks good. You want to make sure it doesn't start too low. You don't want the slash to go down really, really low. And you don't want it to be, you know, super small so you can't get your hand in. Sometimes it's helpful to actually put your hand beside it so you can see what looks good. And then the angle of how much it's going to kind of slash is up to you as well. So just for an arbitrary amount, I'm going to just draw that in with a pencil. Now, the depth of the pocket is also up to you. If you do it too low, you won't be able to reach into your pocket because everything's going to be too low. So, you know, about in line with the crotch would be like the bottom of the pocket, I would say. So I'm just going to put a little mark somewhere like this. Again, it's up to you. You want to make sure you have enough of a side seam in the pocket so that you actually have a pocket bag. I'm just going to draw this line across. It could even be a bit lower. Let's put it here. Okay. So I'm going to draw the pocket in on here, making sure that I am always kind of doing right angles here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to firstly lift off the top panel, the front of the pants. Okay, so what that's going to be is it's going to be all of this minus this part here. So I'll just trace that off. In this example, we're assuming that there is a dart. It's just as is. I just need to make my drill hole a bit bigger. There we go. Oops. And I'm going to continue tracing around until my pocket mark there. And similarly, I'm going to start with my pocket mark here and go down all the way around. Okay. I'm going to lift this off. And draw in my slash pocket outline. And I'm just going to draw in my dart so you can see it. Okay, so then I'm going to cut that out and I'll show you the next step. Okay, so here's the front of the pants now. And you can see that I'm missing this part here. So what's going to happen is you're going to put your hand in the pocket. So this part's going to be against the body. And when you put your hand in your pocket, it's going to go in between these two pieces. So we need to make a piece that's got the hip part. Otherwise, your pants will be kind of a weird shape. So I'm going to just take this off. And for this part, we're just going to trace around here. So we're going to pivot this out in just a second. Okay, and then I'm going to use my awl to just make a hole in the corner here. So I have it. I'm just going to mark in the position of this corner. Oopsie. And then that's my pocket. So you can see that this will sit behind here. Now, we don't want a dart in this. So what we're going to do is just fold out the dart in the pattern and just trace off the top of the waistline, the waist. Okay. just make sure that it's, so this is going to be here like this, and then that is going to be there. So it's just going to go across. Like that. So we've just eliminated that dart. It's gonna sew the dart in the pants and then put the pocket on next. Okay, so that is the pocket. This is the side seam here. Personally, I like to round this corner of the pocket so it's a better shape to sew. Okay, I'm gonna cut that out. So now this looks more like a pair of pants here. I've just kind of folded the dart out just so you can see. And again, we're going to put our hand in here. But if we do that, stuff's going to fall out of our pocket. So what we need to trace off now is our pocket bag. So I'm going to make a second copy of this. Okay, you could trace around the block or you could trace this. It's easier to just trace this, so they're exactly the same. Oops. Okay. Place this on here. And we're just going to mark in the position of this slash. Okay, so I've got everything all matched up. I could do it with my block if I wanted to. Okay, just clean this up a bit. Okay, and I'm just going to mark in the position of this slash. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of all this, and this is my pocket bag. I'll cut it out and show you how it goes together. Okay, I have my pattern now. So I have my pocket, I have my pocket bag, and I have my front of my pants. The way it's going to go together is this sits on top of here, and this sits on top here. So you can put your hand into the pocket. You'll need to add seam allowance all the way around. And just make sure that you true this seam allowance for this slash very nicely on both your pants and your pocket bag. I'm just going to quickly show you how to true the seam allowance for this slash. Now, for the purposes of this video, we're going to pretend that there is seam allowance on the side seam at the waist and all the way around, and I'm just adding it to just over here. So I'm taped a piece of paper on, and I'm just going to draw in my seam allowance. I like a 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut along this line first. Now, when I sew this together, the seam allowance is going to be turned back. So I'm just folding it back. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors and just cut along the waist and cut along the side seam here. Okay, now when I unfold this, you can see the truing has got a really pretty funky shape. The reason that we do this is because if I didn't have this extra kind of ears of fabric here, When I sewed it together, especially on this side seam, if this was missing, this part here, if that was missing, then it would be harder to catch that into the seam. Same at the top. If this part was missing, if it were just cut off straight, then I might not catch that in my waist seam allowance. So that would suck. So make sure that you true your seam allowance on both the front of the pants and on the pocket bag. Is going to have the same kind of funky shape. I'll show you from the back. So here is the pocket bag sitting there against the front, and then this matches up. Sometimes what you see is the pocket and the pocket bag actually cut as one piece straight across here that you would fold back. So you could do that if you like, but I personally prefer to have two separate ones, just so that I can do one in lining fabric and one in the self fabric if I want to. And it just, I think it makes it simpler to understand when you sew it. So in another video, I'll show you how to sew it.